Hi, I am Ambi Parameswaran, BTech Chemical Engineering, class of 1977. Those days, IIT was a 5-year program, so I joined in 1972. We spent the first year in Alakananda Hostel. After that, we all moved. I think the chemical and the electrical batch moved to Godavari. So I spent 4 years in Godavari from 73 till 77 when I got my BTech degree. Uh, I also was the hostel general secretary and the coordinating general secretary of the Institute Gymkhana. When I finished my IIT, there were actually three options. One was to get a job in engineering. The second was to go abroad to do masters, which is what most of my chemical engineering friends ended up doing. And the third was, to get out and do an MBA. So fortunately, I applied to the various MBA schools and I managed to get accepted at IIM Calcutta. I did my MBA straight from BTech. I went and did my MBA 77, 79. Today, I would strongly recommend that you should probably work for 2, 3 years before you do your MBA. But fortunately, in our batch of about 100 MBA students in IIM Calcutta, we had close to 45% were all people with many years of experience. So our batch was that way blessed because we got a nice mix of uh, experienced and freshers in the batch. So that was very, very good for us. So I finished my BTech in 1977, and then I finished my MTech MBA or PGDM, the way it is called, in 1979. Uh, I've captured a lot of these in my various books I've written, but finally ended up joining advertising. I worked in redistribution advertising 79 to 81, and then I moved into marketing with Boots Company, where I handled both pharmaceutical and OTC brands. And then I worked in sales in UDI Yellow Pages, and then I joined an agency called Ulka, where I spent about 26 years. From 1989 till almost 2016, I was there. And then after that, I've got out. I do uh, teaching, I do coaching, I do mentoring, and I do a lot of writing. So if I were to tell you what I've been doing for the last, say, 25, 30 years of my life, I've been basically working with brands, with companies who want to build brands. So whether it is a company like Wipro, which had a brand called Santur, which I was fortunate to work on right from 94 till around 2016, when I helped the brand become the second largest soap brand in the country, or I worked with Tata Motors on their launch of uh, Tata Indica, Tata Indigo, Zeta, Manza, a whole range of cars. And of course, I also worked uh, on the TCS account when they were doing their IPO, and then later they ran this experience certainty campaign, which was a global campaign. So my expertise is not something which purely IIT taught me. It was more what I learned at IIM Calcutta and then what I learned going forward working on various brands. So when I joined advertising in 1989, it's quite likely that I was the only IIT IIM uh, product working in an ad agency. But today there are a lot of IIT graduates, IIM graduates, IIT IIM graduates working in advertising. So what is this business of advertising? So advertising is a very narrow term. We work across marketing communication, which is across the whole domain of multiple ways in which you communicate with a customer. So we help companies understand where is the consumer coming from, what are the key aspects of the brand, uh, which we need to highlight, and then how do you craft a brand communication strategy. How has my IIT education helped me? And I think, uh, as they say, you can take a person out of IIT, but you can't take IIT out of a person. So IIT gives you uh, a discipline. It helps you in the way you think, uh, very structured form of thinking, which all of us learned at IIT. That's all stayed with me. And of course, MBA taught me the basic tools and techniques of marketing. One thing I should alert is that a lot of things change, and people tend to think that things are changing rapidly. I think things have been changing rapidly for a long time. When I got out of uh, my MBA course, I mean, the advertising media which we used to use was basically print and cinema, and very little TV. But today, the whole thing is dramatically changed, and this is going to keep changing. But I keep telling my clients that don't get fascinated and don't get obsessed with this digital. What you need to understand is, where is your consumer coming from? How can you connect with your consumer? So over the last 5 years, I've been a independent director on a few companies. Some of them are publicly listed, some of them are private. I'm also a certified executive coach. I work with senior executives who are on either transition or who want to improve their own effectiveness. I work with them. I'm a certified CEO coach. I also uh, work with brands on improving their branding understanding, branding processes. So just to give a flavor, I worked with large companies like PepsiCo, Tata Motors, commercial vehicles business, TI Cycles. Uh, so I worked with a number of such large companies. I've also worked in pharma sector pretty heavily with Abbott. I've done programs at Sun, at Indoco, at GSK, and of course, I've worked with several young startups. Uh, Companies like Saral Designs, which is one of the founder being an IIT Madras alumnus. I've helped them, I've mentored them. Medibuddy, again, a company started by an IIT Madras. I've helped him articulate some of his branding concepts, and I've worked with a few other such startup companies started by either IITians or MBA graduates. Uh, in addition to this, I also do a lot of writing. I write a regular column in the Business Standard, and of course, my columns appear occasionally in Economic Times and Business Line and Financial Express. I've also written 10 books. Uh, Sounds like a lot, but I started writing. My first book came out in the year 2020, and my 10th book came out last year. So roughly about two books, about one book every 2 years. I've got some of them displayed there. These books cover brand management, brand strategy, advertising, uh, B2B marketing, leadership lessons, and of course, the last book which I wrote is a book called Spring, Bouncing Back from Rejection. So these are my 10 books, and I, I, I also deliver keynotes. I speak in forums. I conduct workshops, and nowadays, the pandemic, I've been conducting webinars regularly, both for corporates and uh, for education institutions. Uh, I'm also an adjunct professor of marketing at SPGMR, which is a top 5 business school in Mumbai. And I'm also a guest lecturer at IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, and MICA. My advice to those of you who are even looking for any advice is that I think we will come out of this pandemic, and one question which you'll have to answer yourself is, when you're out of the pandemic, you have to think back and say, what did you learn? What did you do different? What did you achieve during the pandemic? You should have an answer ready for that. Some of you may have learned a new language, or may learned a new instrument, or learned a new coding tool, or attended a certification program, or maybe upped your profile on social media. Whatever it is, uh, don't, as they say, never waste a crisis. Always use the crisis to become a little better in whatever you do. So thank you once again for Lata of IIT Madras Alumni Association for inviting me to speak to you, and I've delivered several talks at the IIT Madras Alumni Forum, both in when it was offline and again when it is online. So thank you very much. Stay safe, and I'm sure we'll come out of all this stronger and better. So thank you, and God bless.